Welcome to Dive with Beautician. This is your host Shah. Tune in every Sunday from 9 p.m. to listen to my podcast from the health and beauty industry via my website. At a later stage, it will be available to download. I will be discussing various topics, stories, news, educational, historical content. Please head over to my website, subscribe to great monthly emails sent to you as a newsletter. You can also book my services for the latest treatments from the comfort of your own home. Website address is www.shashalondon.co.uk. You can follow me on social networks, Instagram at SSLondon84, Facebook Shasha London, Twitter Shasha London, also on LinkedIn as Shasha London. If you have any questions, do feel free to send your questions to me via social media, or you can email me at shashalondoninfo@gmail.com. Welcome back, everyone, to my podcast. I am super excited. This is my second podcast. Thank you to everyone that tuned in last week for my first ever, and I mean ever, podcast. So just thank you abundantly for just tuning in and listening to my content. I hope you guys found it enjoyable and informative. Thank you for those who have kindly got back to me to say that it was very enjoyable, my content, and very informative, and they love the sound of my voice. Thank you. So just thank you abundantly for just tuning in and supporting me with my works. So this is week 2, and if you're joining me for week 2, thank you for joining me on week 2. I'm just going to give you a little insight about who is Shah, so you kind of come up to date with who I am and what it is and why I'm doing this. So my name is Shalene. I'm also known as Shah, and I am a professional beauty therapist, also known as a beautician. I provide various of treatments from manicures to pedicures, facials, various massages, and body wraps and things like that. And I've worked in the industry since 2014. I'm currently working for myself, self-employed, and I love what I do and I enjoy it very well. I like the science behind it all. I like to understand the body much more, so I will go in much more. And that is who I am and what I do and why I do it. Okay, so let's begin. This week content is going to be about skin care. So when I put a little thing up on my social network to ask people what they know about skincare, and the first thing that came to people's mind was facials. That was it, like facials and products. And I kind of laughed a little bit because okay. And the reason I think people kind of went for that answer, because when you look on social network, all you see is skincare linked to facials, but it's not. It's really not. Skincare for me means the whole body. The whole body is covered with skin. And the care part is just taking care of the skin. Do you know what I mean? People look at skincare and initially just isolate it to one thing, because you've got so many people in the product and beauty and fashion industry linking it to just a facial or a product, but it's not. It's about the complete human body skin, taking care of it. Okay, so this week I'm going to give you a couple stories. Last week I did one story, but they're going to be short 2 stories where I was able to detect from the skin I was able to detect that the person had a condition and an illness. Okay, so the first story was it was my first ever works in the industry as self-employed, and I was providing people with short little massages. Some of them I used to stretch, some of them I just used to do a really nice little relaxing massage. It really depended on the client and what they were looking for and what they needed. Okay, So this guy was, always on his feet all day and busy doing a labourer's job. And when he came to sit down in my seat, um, I could literally see that his whole back was just stiff. It was just like flat as a board. This guy hadn't had anything like this for a very long while, or practically ever. Anyway, when I begin to massage the guy's back, um, I felt like, just what I personally do is I like to just warm up the body. So warm up the body, just warming up by doing a series of movements along the person's back, the shoulder, their neck, um, and sometimes I like to work on the scalp as well, because it's all connected, right? The whole body's connected. And as I'm warming up and doing like movements along the back, I could feel an area raised in one particular area. So what I do is I go back over and I warm up again, and I could still feel this area raised. So then when I begin to do the work on the back, so I start to feel parts of the back, if this place is in the right place, is this feeling the way it should do. But this area wasn't feeling the way it should do. So I went back over, and then I could feel there was this lump, this lump in the skin. And someone could argue and say, well, that could be a fatty tissue, that could be nothing, it could just be scar tissue built up in that particular area. So what I always say to people is, and to my beauticians and my beauty therapists, always do a consultation. No matter where you are, whoever you're working for, protection of yourself, always do a consultation. Trust me when I say this, because you could begin all these works on these people and there could be something real wrong. And if it's what you think it is, and you didn't do that consultation, you could potentially cause that person more harm than good. I'm not joking. So please, to my therapists, my beauty therapists, beauticians, do your consultation. Yeah, before you go out and start treating anyone. Anyway, so what he had disclosed to me was he was fine, he was well. There was nothing that he's good. But when I started working on him, he was far from being any good, right? His body was really, the muscles on his back were very knotted. The skin itself was really tough. It was just, as I said, it was just really flat, really tough. For me to get my hands into his muscles, it was just too tough. And as I said, I felt this lump and I knew there was something else going on. So I stopped the treatment and I said to the gentleman, I know you said you're well, I know you said you're fine, but from what I'm feeling on your back, it's far from it. So I said to him, I can feel a lump in your lower area of your back. And I want you to go and see your GP as soon as possible. It could be nothing, it could be something, but I need you to understand I'm working on your back and I'm looking at your back and it doesn't look and feel right, and I want you to go and get some help from your general practitioner. Just tell them that you've come in, had a massage, and the masseuse or the beauty therapist has felt that there's something there. Okay, I'm not putting you in any alarm, I'm not trying to alarm you or create any stress or doubt or worry in you, but this is your well-being and you need to go and see someone as soon as possible. Okay, so as I'm talking, he says, well, it's funny because my partners told me that there was something there and I've just been ignoring it. And I said, you know what, sometimes it's fear. It's the fear of not knowing, what's going to happen if they found out this was cancer, and I'm having to deal with this, and I've got a family, I've got someone who loves me. So you've got all these emotions going on around you and going through you, and you're just like, what do I do? I don't want to deal with this right now. It's fear. And I said to him, you know what? Sometimes in life, you just have to just, as they say, it's a saying I've heard, but just bite the bullet. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to get the help that you need. It may not be the answer that you want to hear, but you've got to do it. Okay? So he knew there was something wrong, and I knew there was something wrong. So we're both in agreement. And he went away, and I didn't see him for a while. So I knew that it wasn't the answer he wanted to hear. Okay? And then I saw one of his colleagues, and I said, "How have you seen so and so?" And he said, "Yeah, he's been off work sick." And I said, "Okay, thought so." And the guy joking said, "What did you do to him?" And I said, "No, it's what I found. It's what I found." And I didn't say that to him, but me saying it to myself, it was like, "What's what I found?" And then he said, "Oh yeah, but you went upstairs and you never saw him again." And I said, "Well, maybe he realized he needs to take care of himself." Me joking said, "No," and I said, "Definitely, he probably realized he's been working so hard. This was the time for him to actually start taking care of himself and putting things in perspective." And he said, "Oh, okay," and laughingly, he joked and laughed and walked away. So that was one story. So with me doing the massage, I was able to detect from the skin he had a lump, and the lump wasn't protruding through the skin, but it was there. You really have to feel it. You could feel there was something there. He said he felt all right in general health, but there was something going on. And when I was working around that area for that little short period of time, he couldn't feel anything, and it wasn't painful. So again, with some cancerous lumps, there is no pain, and there's no discoloration or of the skin. There is just a lump. Okay, it could start out really small, but it can develop in size. However, there's something there. And whenever anybody who does self-evaluate their body, meaning touch their body, you just assess your body sometimes. And the best time to assess your body is when you are moisturizing your body. Okay, guys? So when you're moisturizing your body, I hope everyone's moisturizing their bodies daily. You will feel your body, right? You will feel the texture, and if there's anything different from the body. That's the best time to examine the body if you feel there's anything out of the ordinary, or it just feels the same. Okay, when you're moisturizing your body daily. So yeah, that was one story. So the second story now was working in this really fancy establishment, and they did various packages. So you have like a body treatment or a pedicure treatment, you have like a glass of bubbly and some nibbles and things like that. Really, really sophisticated place, very nice. And basically it was a mother and daughter. They came in for a treatment, so like a back massage followed by a pedicure. So me and my colleague was doing the mother and daughter's feet, and when we, as I said, consultation, guys, is the key. So reading over the consultation again, she had stated that she was well, and she has no conditions, and so on. So when doing her feet, now her mother was, I was doing the mother's feet, so she was a mature woman. She, as we get older, some of our skin tend to lose its elasticity, so we're losing the, the firmness of the muscles and the skin, and it becomes um a little bit more the skin becomes a little bit more taut. So you've got to be very careful with the skin when you're working on the skin that's a little bit more thin, a little bit more looser. Okay, and as I'm working, I usually do the cuticles. So we usually clean the cuticles to help and allow the nail to grow, and to check over the feet. That's what we're here for. It's not just supplying the products; it's about also checking over the person's feet. So as I do, I check over the feet, gone for the consultation, and then looking at the feet, and it seems to be fine. But as I said, I could see that her skin is slightly more thinner, more fragile, so I've got to be careful. So what I tend to do is we usually use metal tools to push back the cuticles, but because I knew her skin was more fragile, I was just taking my time with it. So I use an orange wood stick, which is a wooden stick, and then I add a little bit of cotton wool to it, and then I gently work around the cuticle area. So it's not going to be um, it's going to be more delicate than using the metal. Okay, so as I'm using that and pushing it back, I can see that her skin is very fragile, and it's very, I've got to be easy with it. So as I'm pushing back, I push back, but when I push back, I start to see a little bit of blood come through. So I think, oh my gosh, okay. Well, I didn't push, I was literally gently doing it, but why is there blood coming through? So I took some cotton wool, and as you do, just apply pressure to the area where you see a bit of the blood. So as I lift up, I'm seeing more blood coming down the nail shaft. So I'm still baffled. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Then again, applied more pressure, pulled it back again, and I'm still seeing more blood. And I'm thinking, I didn't cut it, I didn't use the metal pusher, so why am I seeing so much blood while just cleaning your cuticle area? Anyway, it wouldn't stop bleeding, and she had no acknowledgement of it. Funny enough, what the it's quite funny actually, because she was talking to her daughter, and they're drinking, they're laughing, and so on. And I took the end of the orange wood stick and I ran it along her foot. Now, usually, most of us, we are sensitive, right, with the foot area. So when I ran it along her foot, she didn't even feel it. I'm not joking, she didn't even feel it. So I did it again quickly. I ran it along her foot. And usually the person would be like, giggle like, but she didn't do that. She didn't even know. She didn't even notice that I was actually touching along her foot. And then it popped in my head that this woman's diabetic. She's actually diabetic, right? So I had to say to her, "Ma'am, sorry, I'm gonna have to end your treatment because part of your foot is slightly bleeding, and it's not stopping. I've applied pressure to it. But what I'm going to do is going to notify my spa manager now and go and get the first aid kit just to bandage that area. But I won't be able to continue the treatment." So she looked at me like, "Well, how did that happen?" And she looked down and she's seen that I haven't clipped her toenails. No, I haven't even used anything as yet other than just using the orange wood stick. So she said, did you cut me?" And I said, "No, I didn't cut you. I literally was just pushing back your cuticles with the orange wood stick." I said, "I usually would have used the metal one, but because I can see that some feet are more fragile than others, that's why I use this instead." So I said to my colleague, "Can you just continue to hold the pressure on the bleeding while I go and get my manager and the first aid kit?" So I explained to my manager what happened, and we need the first aid kit. She came out, we went over to the lady, and we then was able to bandage the toe, because it was only just one toe, and then advise her she will need to see her GP as soon as possible. So the woman was baffled, her daughter was concerned, and I think at this point they probably thought I did something to her mother. But as I said, there was only one instrument used, and with that one instrument, wouldn't have created that much blood. There was something else going on. Anyway, they my colleague finished off her daughter's feet because their mum was they were lovely. He was like, "No, you finish off your feet. I can just chill out in the lounge area and wait for you." Anyway, they went home after that, and because I worked through an agency there, so I wasn't there working it every day of the week. I wasn't able to follow up that story. Anyway, when I was able to come back to that place, one of the staff that had worked there and worked there full time stopped me and said, "Do you remember that lady and her daughter that, with their feet and the bleed and all the big saga, as we call it, the big saga that went on with it?" So I said, no, yeah, what happened to her? Is she good? Did they complain? Because sometimes in this industry people complain about everything, and even if it's not our fault, or they still complain. Anyway, so she said no, her daughter and the mother both came back and they bought me a card to say thank you. And I stood there and I was like, okay, right, okay. What happened? She said, like, the mother was diabetic and she didn't know. And the daughter was a little bit, she said the daughter was upset because she's thinking I'd done something, because I was starting out the treatment and we didn't even get to go into the treatment and your foot's bleeding, and she's thinking, well, you must have done something to my mother. However, what happened was, and greatest scheme of things in life, just doing her preparing the feet and starting at the treatment and all of that took place, they were able to find out that her mother was actually a diabetic. So she didn't even know she was a diabetic. She was going to her day-to-day life, busy life. She was working, but not working full-time. But she had an active life. She was a mature woman, and there were telltale signs, she said, that was going on, but she didn't acknowledge it, okay, because she was so busy. However, they came back and they brought a card to say thank you and to say, great, many thanks for spotting what happened, spotting what went on, and was able to refer them over to the GP as soon as possible. So I was truly happy that I did my job and I was able to refer them over to the GP as soon as possible, so that she can get diagnosed with the diabetes. So two different stories. One person with a lump, later found out it was cancer, and the other person was a lady, a mature woman who was current diabetic, and those two stories were of the skin. Okay, so of the skin, one with the lump in the skin, and the other, her skin being slightly fragile, and also sensation, not feeling the sensation. Because it's funny because the girl said she saw because like I said to you, I ran the wood stick, the other end of it, along her foot bottom, and she was looking at me like, why did she do that? And they realised why I did that, because she lost sensation in her feet. She didn't know if it was too hot, if I put her foot in hot water or cold water, let alone feeling the sensation of the little brush of the orange wood stick along her foot. So, I was happy that both people were able to get the diagnosis of what was going on with them, but I was sad. I was sad to know that was happening to them, and they were going to go through some changes in their life. And I really wish both of them well, and I hope they are still well, on the mend and getting well. So yes, but I was able to recognize these things through the skin, because the skin can tell you quite a lot. The skin can reveal to you quite a lot of things, and we tend to not recognize these things because we are too busy. Now, I'm not saying to people to be alarmed and go and start, looking at skin and like, oh my god, I've seen this spot. Oh my god, I need to go to the doctor. No, I'm talking about there's a change in your life and you know it. I think there's a part of you, that you're not well. There's a part of you when you know something is going on, and it's how you're going to change that decision of, do I get help or do I have to continue to be in denial? And with the first story I told you, the man was in denial. He didn't want to face it. He was probably scared. As I said, it's the fear of knowing that it could be that. And I've got so much things to do, and I don't want to stop right here. I want to move on. I want to continue as normal. But something's changed, and it's time to accept that with this change, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight, okay? Because it's your life. And with the woman and not knowing she's unwell, going on with her day-to-day life and not realizing that she's unwell and her body is going through some changes, and not detecting the changes are already taking effect, but ignoring them, or just too busy or unaware of what's going on, the changes. But I was just really grateful that I could pick up these things through the skin. So as I said, the skin is a telltale point or telltale sign that something's going wrong. And some of the things that some things you can see and things you can't see, as I said. But what you can do is, as I always say, is moisturizing your skin. Moisturize skin daily. You can notice the difference. You can feel the difference of the skin or what's going on under the skin. Okay, so visually looking, visually touching, feeling, you can tell whether the skin is showing you something different. Now, how to spot some of these conditions. So if you can see the skin and it's changing the complexion and the pigment, if you can see the skin and there's a scar that you've cut, and the scar's not healing well. If you see rashes, okay, rashes that's come up, it looks a bit red, it looks a bit irritated. If you see your skin peeling, like constantly peeling, yeah, that's another telltale sign of something's going on. Where you see like a lump, so like a bump or a lump raised up in the skin or in the foot or in the back or in the neck or in the head, I tell you, it can go anywhere, right? So if you see there's a difference in the texture and the feel, again, those are some signs of the skin, okay? But then you've got to kind of marry that up with how you are feeling, okay? So if you're feeling under the weather, and you feel that you're not bouncing back like your usual self, to say like you have a cold usually you get a cold, but it's usually for a week, but this cold is now going on for like 3 to 4 weeks, then something's wrong. And it's not for you to become alarmed by what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, like, you'll know that you'll need to address that. I've had this cold for over a month now, and it's not moving. And I don't feel well in myself. I feel very achy. I feel really under the weather. So you need to, go and make an appointment and see your GP. Okay? sometimes with all these things that I'm saying, you can see on the skin, like you see a raised lump, or the skin red or inflamed, or this patch has appeared or something like that. Sometimes there is no sign. There's literally no sign. There's no real evidence of the skin showing something. Sometimes there is absolutely nothing appearing on the skin. Everything seems to be fine on the surface. However, internally, you're feeling unwell. And that's another thing. The inside, we can't see the inside. We can't physically see what's going on in the inside. So this is where I said with us, as all of us, we need to really be in tuned with ourselves. And if someone says to me, how do you get in tuned with yourself? Well, you need to take care of yourself. You need to know yourself, get to know you, get to know who you are. How does your body react to things in life? Okay, so when someone tells you a sad story, you cry, or do you just weep, or do you just sit there? Do you just listen? Do you become empathic, or sympathize with the person, empathize with the person? You know, do you when someone tells you something stressful, do you clinch up? Do you become anxious? Do you come? These are just some of the signs of kind of knowing, kind of getting to know yourself. Do you take on stress well? Do you are you able to battle through it and get on with it? You know, when you eat certain things, does it cause a reaction, or are you fine with it? Do you tend to get sick more frequently than others? So do you have more sickness out of the year? Like, say you take half of the year out to be sick, and the other half of the year you're good. You know, just getting to know who you are and what it is that you're going through, and not ignoring these things, because it is your health, it's your well-being. It's knowing that you understand yourself enough to know when you are not well and when you are well. Okay, it's taking the time out. It's time to take care. Is my motto. Take care of yourself first, finding out what's going on with you, and then you'll be able to understand whether your body is feeling great or feeling good. And that's how I deal with things. And that's what I always say to people: to be the detector. You are the detector of your own body. Nobody else can detect when your body is under attack. You know it if you're aware of yourself. Okay, so some of the conditions that I've come across in, you know, working with people, various of people, I've come across people with eczema. So eczema is a patch that's quite can be quite sore sometimes, can be itchy, can be flaky, and it's slightly raised over the top layer of the skin. I've seen people with warts, again round, size half the size of a garden size pea, or even smaller, and usually see them on the foot or on the face, sometimes some warts, so you can get them on your hands as well. Again, I've seen people with contact dermatitis, some of the skin condition that's where someone's come into contact with someone who has it, or the immune system is low and you've contacted it, or you're using products or overuse of man-made products that's created havoc on your skin, and that is like a series of red patches over a particular area of the body that can be really sore and painful. Sometimes you can get some pustule spots with them as well. You also got acne. Acne is one that comes into contact quite a lot through facials, and even sometimes with massages. You can get acne on your face, your back, your chest, and again, that is they're not even size of a spot. A spot is of a smaller size, of a size of like a pinhead, right up into the size of probably on the verge of a pea size. And then acne is going to be the size of a pea size, going up to the size of a 5 pence yeah, for 5 pence piece, okay? And their acne are usually larger. They usually got a lot of pus, white pus, so it's infection. They're very painful, very stubborn to go down. They are really deep rooted under the skin. And as I said, I see quite a load of people with acne, and there's various of treatments with acne. I've seen people with blisters. You usually get blisters with runners, people who tend to run quite frequently. And I usually see that on the balls of their foot or on the back of their ankle. I've seen people with psoriasis. And again, that's another condition where I think that's a condition of hereditary. I think it's passed on by the mother. And there are like patches all over the body that can be flaky, raised skin, very, it's quite irritant to the skin and to the person. And it can be all over the body. It could be on the leg, arm, under the arm, by the chest, on the elbows, even in the hair. Yeah. And again, there's treatments for that. I've seen people with cold sores. Again, cold sores are usually, it's part of the herpes family, the herpes virus. Usually comes up seasonally with when people tend to get colds or flu. It usually hits the lip or the side of the lip or the bottom of the lip. Again, can be treated. Yeah, I've seen people hives again, allergic reaction to a product or something they're eating, or yeah, or even allergic to an animal, break out in hives. And again, there's treatments, lumps, of various kinds. So I've seen lumps where it's just fatty tissue built up under the skin. You can have treatment for that. I think they drain that, depending on where it is and how they can drain it. And then you've got the cancerous lumps, okay, where again you can get treatment depending on the stage or where you are with the cancer, okay. So again, the skin has a telltale sign. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you don't see it. And with those, some of those conditions, again, they are visible on the skin. You can see them very much so. And those other conditions that are undetectable, you can't see them, they're internal. But sometimes through the way the person's feeling or the way the person's there's something, they feel there's something not quite right, can detect some of these things under the skin, okay. So I didn't get to do the fact finder, so I'm going to do it now. So fact finder about the skin, because I want you guys to understand more about the skin. Fact finder. So the skin is made up of 3 skin layers. So that's the epidermis, that's the top layer that you can see. Then you have the inner layer, which is the dermis, and then you have the hypodermis, which is the 3rd layer. So epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis, which is also known as the subcutaneous layer, okay. So the skin is the largest organ of the body, and it covers you from head to toe. Imagine that. I didn't even know that when I first started out in college learning about the body, and they're saying it's the largest organ. I was like, no way. So yes, it's the largest organ of the body. The skin can detect the hot and cold body temperatures, which is good. And in some cases, if you become ill, like a diabetic, sometimes if you're unaware of it, like I was saying, the lady didn't know I was touching her feet, she couldn't detect it. So there is something going on internally, right? Your skin protects your muscles, your nerves, your bones, and internal organs from outside infection, which is fantastic. Sometimes if you're unwell internally, then you can be susceptible to the outer infections, okay? Like contact dermatitis. Your skin constantly sheds dead skin cells every minute of the day. I know it sounds a bit gross. Yes, you do shed every day. Some of us shed more than others. So when you're younger, you shed more. And then someone who's probably over 30, it takes a little bit longer for the skin to shed. And what I would recommend with things like that is to exfoliate. exfoliate daily. If your skin's not shedding, if you feel there's more hard skin on your foot bottom, or your skin's feeling a bit more drier or flakier, then you need to exfoliate more frequently. Okay. Your skin is home to 1,000 species of bacteria. Yep, that sounds gross again. Some are friendly, some are nasty, but again, it's it's the science behind it. I'm gonna try. I think I'll do another episode on skin because there's so much to talk about skin. I can't compress it into one episode, but yeah, it's friendly bacteria. Okay, guys. The skin has 5 different receptors that respond to pain and touch. So that's amazing. Okay, so your body can recept whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether it's in pain, whether it's aching, whether there's a, do you know what I mean? Your body can, it's like a detector, which is fantastic. Your skin is the thickest at the foot bottom, which is correct because we can work on the feet providing pedicure treatments by filing the feet. You've got hard skin on the feet that needs to be filed off the skin. And you also stand on your feet, you run on your feet, you do a lot of things with your feet. So yes, it is the thickest part of the skin. And the thinnest part of the skin is the eyelids. Yeah, so when you look in the mirror next time, you have a look and you can feel it. It's very thin, it's very torn, and as you get older, it gets very more thin. So you have to be very careful when you're using products and having treatments around your eyelids. The skin can heal itself and form a scar tissue or a scab. So when you cut yourself and then it starts to heal, you form a scab. Okay, that's where the skin cells are generating in numbers and healing itself, which is fantastic. For some people who are unwell, their skin takes longer to heal. And then in some cases, some people have produced more melanin, tend to have keloid scarring, where the skin doubles up, so it gets really thick. You'll see, you've probably seen it somewhere, or you've seen someone who has it, where the skin's just become extra thick, and you can actually pinch the skin now because the skin is doubled up. So you've got the skin layer, which is the epidermis layer, the top layer of the skin, and then you'll have like a bubble of skin on top, and that's where the extra skin is coming to place, which is the keloid scarring. Okay, and then the last but not least, your skin, your dead skin, contributes to the dust in your home. So all that dead skin that you're shedding is contributing to the dust in your home. Yeah. Ew, nasty. I know, it's disgusting, but I had to put it in there. So yes, clean your homes, folks. So yeah, that was some fact finders I thought I would like to share with you about the skin. And as I said, the skin is the biggest organ on the body, and it is an amazing it's just amazing what it does and how it feels and responds to everything and what it goes through and maintain it on a day-to-day basis. And how to take care of the skin is being in tune with yourself. Again, just taking care of yourself, moisturizing your skin, exfoliating the skin, stay hydrated. Okay, so that's another thing I didn't get to say, hydrating the body. So what you're putting into your mouth, what you're eating, what you're drinking, that creates a sense of hydration for the skin to look and feel great. And that is a big key to it all. What we eat and what we drink plays a big part of how our skin looks and feels. Okay, also how we feel as a person. So if we're stressing, if we're constantly anxious, all those things play a part on our skin and can create havoc on our skin. So also what I forgot to mention is that your skin absorbs. So even though your skin, the top layer epidermis, is protecting and has some waterproof capability, it also absorbs things into your skin. Okay, so you have to be extremely careful what products you're using on your skin, and because some of these products can create havoc on the skin, and also it can destroy some of the skin layers. Okay, so be very careful to what products you're using and how you're using it, and always get expert help about certain products that we're using, because what I see on the market today is just a product overload from every angle. And the best persons to go to is people who work in the industry, as opposed to people who just come out with the product and said, yeah, here we go, this is the product I'm selling. Go to the professionals who know what they're talking about. Stop buying from everyone and everybody. It makes no sense. I do this for a living, and when I do bring out my line of products, I hope everyone's going to support it, but you'll know that this woman works in the industry. She's been working product for most of her life. So let's support this. Let's go with this. And look at her skin. I'm the product of my product, you know? So, yeah. Be careful when you're using certain products, because it can have a reaction to the skin. Always get the information from the correct professionals who know what they are talking about and have demonstrated that. But yeah, just take care of your skin. Skincare is from the head, from the sole of your feet. Your skincare is how you take care of it, how you treat it. And skincare is also various conditions and illnesses that you can spot from the skin, and also the things that you can't see that's going on internal. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my podcast this week. As I said, skincare is such a big it's a big topic to discuss, and I hope that the information I provided with you this week has been informative and enjoyable. So join me next week for my next topic of conversation. And if you have any questions, or you feel I didn't mention anything in this, then do feel free to email me via my social network pages or via email. Tune in next week for a diary of a beautician.